Matthew here from miniwargaming.com. This video is being posted at midnight on Saturday, May 28th, because that is the first possible time that we are allowed to post any pictures or videos about the new Citadel Finecast miniatures. We just got them in yesterday, and I want to give you my first impressions and a quick review. We're going to be doing more videos next week showing you that we're going to model them, put them together, paint them, see how it feels, see if we can give you any tips and techniques on how to work with them, because they are a type of resin, but they're also different than most other resin that you probably worked with. If you're familiar with a Privateer Press line of resin, or Flames of War, or Forge World, it is not like their resin, so that's good news already. Now, before I go into this, in Games Workshop's announcement, they said that these were the highest quality miniatures produced in the entire world, which is very bold of them to say. I disagree with them saying that. I think a better PR thing would have been to say these are the highest quality miniatures that we have ever created, because we know Games Workshop creates very high quality miniatures. And so if they say we're creating something even better than what we normally do, then you could take that seriously. Whereas when they say it's the best in the world, it's like, well, have you looked at every single miniature in the world? It has a little less appeal to it, as people kind of get drawn back from that. But let's take a look at them so we can judge for ourselves. So we got in a bunch of them. The one I want to show is the Librarian Terminator, or the Terminator Librarian, or Librarian and Terminator Armor, however you want to call it. The reason I want to show you this one is because Paul happened to have one of the old pewter librarians that he had not yet painted. It had already been assembled, and so we have a nice direct comparison that we can use. So there you go, there is the old librarian. Now it's a little hard on video and even in pictures to compare the pewter to the new resin, and the reason for that is because pewter is shiny. So when you take pictures of it, naturally the edges won't be crisp, whereas the resin is not shiny, so the edges will look more crisp. So what we're going to do, not right now, but in the future videos, we're going to paint them. We're going to just spray them black, maybe dust them a little white, and that way they all have the same color to them, so that when we take pictures and show them on the video, you'll be able to see, really be able to judge the difference. So first impressions, they've got these new blister packs that are no longer the really ridiculous paper with the bit of plastic that always falls off. We have that problem quite often, that we get a package of blisters in and the thing has fallen off and the pieces have fallen out. And then we have to tape it, literally tape it back together before we send it out to customers, making sure all the pieces are inside. So this one, we're not going to have that problem anymore. I'm a little disappointed they didn't choose to use resealable clamshells like the Privateer Press models. I love those because not only can you stick your models back in them while you're still working on them, but you can use them as paint trays. But this is definitely a huge step up. And they've got, of course, their awesome artwork on the front of the, or front or back, however you want to look at it, because just the way that they are, it almost looks like this should be the front. This is what should be facing out on the shelf. And so that's nice, whereas the Privateer Press ones all have a generic back. And so this allows you to look at it and see what you're getting, which I really like. So I think they get an A+ for the new packaging. Well, let's say A-, because I'd rather it be resealable. So let's open it up. And I actually haven't opened up one of the clamshells yet. I've opened up a couple of their boxes. So let's see if this is as annoying to open as other blisters that aren't resealable. At least I don't need a pair of scissors, but I am destroying it. There we go. I didn't break anything while I did that, but I did mangle. See how it's not, I could still use it as a painting tray, but it's got all these sharp corners and stuff now. That's why I don't like the non-resealable ones. But that is a minor complaint. What we really care about is the miniature itself. So, first thing that we notice is that even though it's resin, they're on sprues, which leads us to believe, probably correctly, that they actually did have to redo all their molds. Now, I'm not saying that justifies the price increase. In fact, a quick thing about the price increase, a lot of people think the price increase was because they switched to resin. It has nothing to do with it. They do a price increase every June. At least they have for the past 3 years. And this happened to be at the same time, which I think was a mistake on their part. They should have separated the two, because people think that they're switching to a cheaper medium and increasing their prices, so they get even more upset at Games Workshop. Whereas really, it was just Games Workshop increasing their prices for whatever reason. They increased their prices, their better margins or whatever. So no, they didn't increase their prices because they switched to resin. They increased their prices because they like to increase their prices. So we've got new molds, which is great because what they could do, I'm assuming they took the originals again and recast them in better molds because, to be honest, there is more detail on these miniatures. Now there's lots of flash and all the other stuff that you're going to have to clean off, but that's not too big a deal. The big thing that we have to watch out for is mold lines. One of the beefs I had with when I opened up my Privateer Press K-Door, their new plastic kit for the Warjacks, is it had a mold line that ran along the front of the leg down through the foot, and it went over all these details. So it was very, very difficult to clean up the mold lines. So mold lines are the biggest issue. Flash and stuff, like these pieces just fall off. So they are not an issue. So first impression is there is a ton of detail. I don't think you're going to be able to see all the detail on the video, even though this will be in high definition. We'll have to take some pictures. Like I said, we're going to take pictures once we've painted them up. We've just sprayed them black and dusted them white so you can see them really well on camera. But the first impressions that we had when we opened up all the different boxes was that they had very, very good detail and that they're very crisp. And the other reason I want to do Librarian Terminator, we have Tyranid models as well, but they aren't as detailed. So it's harder to see the difference because there are a lot of smooth carapace and all this other stuff. Although I did look at the Zoanthrope and it looks like his brain stuff actually does have a bit more detail, but we'll look at that one later on. So they're in sprues. You're going to have to cut them off. There's a bit of cleaning up to do, but not an incredibly large amount. We did see some miscasts, not very many. We got in a lot of miniatures. We opened up, we looked at just in the packaging and you could see that some of them had little bubbles, but I think we only saw that in 2 of them, and we've gotten probably about 100 and something in stock. And so that's not a bad ratio. You have to expect that with resin. Heck, with the pewter, there was miscasts as well. So there will always be some mistakes when they're doing mass production. But overall, it looks like they did a really good job. And of course, it comes at the base, which is normal. So the weight, they are incredibly light. When I compare this to this guy, I have to be careful with him. Even when I'm holding him, I'm afraid he's going to snap off. I've never been a big proponent for metal miniatures. I know some people out there prefer metal because they like the detail, although now I've said that these are probably better detail. And they like, some people even say, I like my HQ choices to be heavy because it feels like there's something. But these things fall over, they break, they chip, whereas this, I doubt will have the same problems. But we will be doing some stress testing. I want to do full consumer report style review on these where we're going to paint them up and we're going to like toss them around. I'm going to try to scratch off paint with my fingernail. I'm going to not wash them because a lot of times with resin you have to wash them. That's another thing. If you've ever gotten Forge World resin or even the Privateer Press resin or the Firestorm Armada resin, they often have a powder on them, and what that is before they pour the resin into the molds, they put a mold release agent on the molds, and it's kind of like spraying cooking spray onto your pan before you cook so that things come off really easily. But the problem with that, when the models come out, they still have the residue, and that often dries into a powder, which you need to wash off very well. If you don't wash it off when you paint over it, the paint just peels right off. And I've seen that happen. I have a Forge World model that I sprayed, and this is way back before I understood that you needed to wash them really well. And the paint, literally, you can grab a piece of paint and just peel it right off. And so that's obviously no good. These ones don't feel like they have any residue. Now, I can't say whether you need to wash them or not until we paint them and then test, see if we can scrape off of some of the corners. And of course, if you scrape hard enough, you'll get it off anything. But it should be a lot more resilient than when you scrape it off of a metal miniature. So let's see if you can see a comparison here. All right. I'm going to hold these just side by side. Just take a look. Metal miniature, resin miniature. So, overall, my first impression, I am very, very impressed. And I'm not just saying that, I actually am. We opened them up, and the first thing I thought was, wow, that is a lot of detail. I can see it's a lot crisper. They're able to get more fine details in there, which I was surprised by, because the reason that a lot of companies use pewter is because it's easier to get the detail. And of course, it's one of the cheaper ways to do small amounts of miniatures. So I think this is a good move. Maybe the way they launched it wasn't the best way. For example, not telling anybody what the heck was going on. That kind of frustrated me as a retailer. and also, you know, doing a price increase at the same time, literally the same day. Today is the price increase, or tomorrow. Yeah, today. By the time you're watching this video, the price increase will have come into effect, and so now people are going to think the wrong thing, that the price increase was because of these, when really it's just a price increase. So if they had separated those two things, then we probably would have seen a little better response from the general public. So little lesson there to learn, GW, on your public relations, is make sure that things are very clear when they are separated, when they are not related. Otherwise you get a lot of negative press, which I'm sure they're going to be fine. I'm sure they'll continue to be the biggest company for the next little while. But there is a lot of opportunity for other companies to step in now. So I give these miniatures, so far, without having put them together and painted them, I definitely give them an A grade, because they're awesome. Are they the best? Are they the highest quality miniatures in the entire world? I don't know. I haven't seen every miniature in the entire world. However, I've noticed that Games Workshop's miniatures are generally better than every other line that I've ever seen. So if this is better than Games Workshop miniatures, then it would stand to reason that they are the highest quality miniatures in the world overall. But I can't really confirm that until I see every single miniature in the world. Maybe on a mass scale it's pretty obvious that they are, because nobody does production to the same level that Games Workshop does. So this is Matthew from Mini Wargaming. I'm happy to see these new ones. They look great. I hope that we see these in regular stock from now on. We're going to be seeing a lot more releases. There's only 122 new products right now out of the hundreds that were taken off the shelf that were in metals. So we should see more of these coming in over the next few months. This is Matthew from Mini Wargaming. Happy wargaming.